Hello, everybody. Welcome to Bound to Truth. This is Chris Lopez. Happy Sunday. It is beautiful up here in Washington. Hope everyone's having a great beginning start of this week that's going to be happening. We got a 3-day weekend coming up, Memorial Weekend. Great time for summer to start camping, hiking, riding a bike, riding a motorcycle. May get a glimpse of some Bigfoot, dogmen, chupacabras. Well, chupacabras, I think, are more down towards Mexico, Texas area. But anyways, you get what I'm saying, I hope. Yeah, so summer is right around the corner, and I hope everybody is anticipating and planning their trips coming up soon. And yeah, really appreciate you joining. So for today's show, it's going to be kind of short, a little last minute put together. Had some debates about what I was going to talk about, and then I found a couple things material wise. So this will probably be a little bit of a short episode. But before I begin with the episode, how can you reach me with questions, concerns, comments, insults, compliments? boundtotruth34@gmail.com. You can also message me on Facebook, Bound to Truth. You can also subscribe on Spotify, which is our main station, Bound to Truth, Twitter or X, Bound to Truth, YouTube, Bound to Truth, and now on Apple Podcasts, Bound to Truth. Please hit subscribe. This is everybody's platform. I want everybody to hear it. The platform is yours. This is all about you and your experience, and just to share the truth and get this information out there and have some fun with it while we're at it. So, anywho, there's gonna be a couple things we're gonna talk about a little bit here. So one of them, there's two things. So one of it's going to be about the Vatican's announcement that came out this week regarding some new, quote, supernatural, I guess, rules per se. And then we're going to talk a little bit about black-eyed children or black-eyed kids. Now, yes, black-eyed children, black-eyed kids. We'll talk more about that. I know it sounds a little weird and creepy, but I'll be glad to explain more on this episode on the urban mythology about that and maybe some theories behind that as well. So let me get my screen shared up here, and I'm going to play a video for you guys regarding the Vatican. Get that up. And this is basically the title here, the Vatican new supernatural guidelines. So I'm going to play a video from News Nation regarding what that means and what this is talking about, and I'll kind of explain, okay, what's the Vatican new supernatural guidelines, and kind of elaborate more on my thoughts and what this could mean for us as well. So this is the video from News Nation. This is actually released recently, about 2 days ago, regarding these new supernatural guidelines. So let me go ahead and play. It's about 5 minutes, 21 seconds, but worth the play. And when you hear it, you'll understand where I'm going with it, and then I'll read more of the details description behind the Vatican. So here we go.
And with a PhD in historical theology and author of the best-selling book titled Extraterrestrial Intelligence and the Catholic Faith. Good morning. Thank you so much for joining us.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
So you and Congressman Tim Burchett were on News Nation's podcast, Reality Check with Ross Coulthart. Love that podcast. The congressman said he believed the Vatican knows that extraterrestrial life exists. He was very confident. I know you've been following this for a very long time. What do you make of what the Vatican is saying this morning?
Well, so, I've only found one news site actually reporting that it was going to mention aliens, and they didn't attribute that data point. If you look at the website for it, it limits itself to talking about apparitions and related paranormal phenomena. And it's supposed to be kind of an update of protocols that the Vatican had for handling cases like that. So they only started a few minutes ago. You have them there live right now. So I haven't really had the chance to hear what they've said or to see the document itself. My guess is that it will probably not mention aliens. I would be surprised if it did, and all things are possible. But I think it's going to focus on apparitions and the kind of paranormal phenomena that often accompany apparitions. So by apparitions, we mean people who claim to see Jesus or the Virgin Mary or angels or other saints,
Sure.
And sometimes to hear things as well.
So is there evidence of angels and aliens being one of the same? Do you believe that could be true, sir?
I think what we're encountering right now in the UAP studies is probably different things. There are a few things that I think seem to fit a demonic profile, but I don't think the majority of them do. Others, I suppose, could be angelic sightings, but I think it likely that we're talking about some other things too. Genuine extraterrestrial intelligence, perhaps intelligent species that are crypto here on Earth. I think it could be a lot of things, and maybe angels are one of them, but we'll have to see.
Dr. Thigpen, I'm curious here. How do you prove an apparition, especially to non-believers out there?
Well, it's maybe hard to prove to non-believers in some ways, but
Sure.
but the kind of evidence that that the appropriate officials would gather would be first to try to determine the facts of what happened. So somebody reports that there was a light in the sky. Did others see it? Is there, any other evidence of it? Is the truth being told? The people who are making the report, they would want to look into their background some. Do they seem to be people of integrity? Could there be medical or psychological issues there? So that to try to rule out things like hallucination or even hoax, counterfeiting. They look at the content of it to see, what's being said. If someone claims, for instance, makes a claim like God and Satan are the same being or something, they would say, yeah, that's probably not divine. And also just verifiable information. If somebody says, okay, Virgin Mary came to me and said that on such and such a date the world will end, and it didn't end, that's pretty good evidence, that it wasn't true. So there are more, people don't realize, I think there are many more apparitions that the Vatican would say, nope, we don't have
Sure.
evidence, than those that it would approve. Those are few.
They do their research for sure. And like you mentioned, the Vatican is actually releasing those findings right now. We just started a few minutes ago. But David Grush, he told News Nation special correspondent Ross Coulthart the Vatican was in possession of a UFO aircraft from 1933. Do we have time to listen to that, guys? Yeah, here it is.
1933 was the first recovery in Europe, in Magenta, Italy. They recovered a partially intact vehicle. The Italian government moved it to a secure air base in Italy for the rest of kind of the fascist regime until 1944, 1945. And, the Pope Pius XII back-channeled that.
So the Vatican was involved.
Yeah, and told the Americans what the Italians had, and we ended up scooping it.
So let me be very clear about this. You're saying that the Catholic Church, the Vatican, they know about the existence of non-human intelligence on this planet.
Certainly.
Dr. Thigpen, you also spoke to David directly about this. Do you believe the Vatican has been covering up proof of extraterrestrial life?
Yeah, I wouldn't use the word cover up. You have to think about the historical circumstances. If it happened, there's no way I can know for sure. But I certainly take David at his word, David Grush, that he was given that information. He also, said to me that certain documents had been published a couple of decades ago that were alleging this, and you look at those and you say maybe they're not so convincing. But David says he has for additional evidence. He's not just depending on that. So given that, I trust his testimony.
Thanks for watching, everybody. Go to joinnn.com to find.
Okay, so that was from News Nation regarding the Vatican releasing the supernatural guidelines. Quite a bit to unpack there. I'll be reading the statement more in a supernatural sense from the Vatican in that jargon. But it is quite interesting because of all the sightings that's been happening and all the things that are going on with UAPs or UFOs. And the news coming out regarding the potential existence of what extraterrestrial, interdimensional, or hey, perhaps even demons. We have no idea. And I'll be glad to unwrap my thoughts a little bit more towards the end of the episode. But let me go ahead and pull up the article that I found, this BBC article regarding from the Vatican. So let's see here. I'm going to read it verbatim from BBC. So here we go. The document compiled by the Vatican's dicastery for the doctrine of the faith. I said disastery. I probably said that wrong. Lays out stricter rules to assess the truthfulness of such claims. The new guidance was presented at a media briefing on Friday and replaces rulings last set out in 1978. So this is about maybe 50 years since we've last since the Catholic Church, the Vatican has updated these new guidelines with the phenomena and supernatural. The document recommends incidents of phenomena should be carefully assessed to make sure that they are not fraudulent or attempt to make money. The paper warns against creating, quote, damage to the unity of the church and serious errors that could, again, cause scandals and undermine the credibility of the church. Reports of such phenomena are said to have soared in recent years in the era of social media, sometimes spread through disinformation and rumor, which I can actually agree, especially with social media and what we have with our iPhones and so forth. We're a lot more connected on this world. The new guidelines say that, as a rule, bishops should issue a nihil obstat, or no obstacle in such cases. This means that the incident would not be formally recognized as supernatural, but that there would be no barrier to worship. Supernatural recognition by the Vatican is rare. The document goes on to say that 5 other decisions can also be issued by bishops, including rejecting the event as supernatural altogether or even banning the worship of some phenomenon. Under the new rules, the Vatican approval should always be sought by bishops before any conclusions are published, with the Pope able to intervene in exceptional cases. Apparitions have been reported across the centuries. Those recognized by the Church have prompted pilgrims and popes to visit spots where they are said to have taken place. Millions flock to Lourdes in France, for example, or Fatima in Portugal, where the Virgin Mary is alleged to have appeared to the children, promising a miracle, after which crowds are said to have witnessed the sun zigzagging through the sky. The visitation was officially recognized by the church in 1930, but other reports have been found by the church officials to be baloney. In 2016, an Italian woman began claiming regular apparitions of Jesus and Mary in a small town north of Rome after she brought back a statue from Medjugorje in Bosnia, where the Virgin Mary is also said to have appeared. Crowds prayed before the statue and received messages including warnings against same-sex marriage and abortion. It took 8 years for the local bishop to debunk the story. The shrine was not mentioned in the new guidance. The new rulings say many pilgrimage sites linked to supposed phenomenon have not received authentication from the Vatican, but that this does not pose problems for the church. So it's interesting that they're coming out with these new guidelines. Is it potentially connected with the phenomenon we're seeing with the UAPs, what's going on with David Rush? You heard in the video regarding, the Catholic Church supposedly having a vehicle back in the 30s during World War II that was eventually handed over to the government. Is this kind of a soft disclosure? Is this damage control to kind of, I don't know, just to kind of, how do you say this? Make sure there's no other branches of confusion when it comes to the foundation of the church itself. I don't know. I have no idea. I think it's quite interesting and not surprising from the Catholic Church kind of jumping on top of this to get ahead of it, especially with all the things that are going on right now across the world, and especially what's going on within our government regarding these UFO phenomenon. Again, we don't know if they're extraterrestrial. We don't know if they're from here on Earth or interdimensional, or hey, God forbid, demons. We have no idea, but it is quite interesting of this announcement with all the things that are going on. So that is kind of something that has happened recently this week. That's new. Didn't see that coming. I actually stumbled across that and I thought it was interesting. And by the way, I'm raised Catholic, love the Catholic Church, love all the Catholics. So this is not about bagging on Catholicism in general. Every religion has some type of politics inside, and I just kind of say keep an eye on it just to keep it accountable, right? Just to make sure there's no hidden agenda behind these different rules or agendas of what's going on. Okay, now we're gonna move into the black-eyed kids or black-eyed children, or BEKs. So you're probably asking, what the freak is that? So I'm going to read a bit of a definition. You come to your conclusion, and I have a little bit of a spooky story to share with you, but I believe that I shared before, but never connected if this was the phenomenon that happened at my house a few years back. But anyway, so here we go. This is from Reddit Happy Pants 69. I didn't make that up. That is a name from the Reddit person. So this is regarding the black-eyed kids. The origins of the black-eyed children legend are shrouded in mystery, with accounts dating back several decades. While some trace the phenomenon's roots to urban legends and folklore, others believe it may have more sinister origins, possibly stemming from paranormal encounters or encounters with other worldly beings. Regardless of its origins, the legend of black-eyed children has captured the imagination of believers and skeptics alike, sparking countless debates and discussions. One of the most chilling aspects of the black-eyed children phenomenon is the sheer number of the encounters reported by individuals from all walks of life, from isolated rural communities to bustling urban centers. Reports of black-eyed children sightings have surfaced in various locations around the world, leaving witnesses shaken and unnerved by their inexplicable presence. Many who claimed to have encountered black-eyed children describe feeling an overwhelming sense of dread and foreboding, prompting them to flee or seek refuge from the unsettling encounter. While the details of the black-eyed children encounters may vary from one report to another, several common characteristics and behaviors have emerged from witnesses' testimonies. Witnesses often describe feeling an intense sensation of fear or dread upon encountering black-eyed children, accompanied by a sense of unease or discomfort. Black-eyed children are said to exhibit strange and unnatural behavior, such as speaking in monotone voices, making unusual requests, or displaying a lack of emotion or empathy. Additionally, witnesses often report feeling a strong urge to comply with the children's demands, despite their better judgment. To gain a deeper understanding of the black-eyed children phenomenon, let's examine a few compelling case studies and analyze the details of each encounter. In one notable case, a woman reported encountering black-eyed children outside her home late one night. Despite feeling a sense of apprehension, she initially offered to help the children, which, by the way, I think is pretty normal. Middle of the night, some kids are out alone. Yeah, I mean, instinct is like, oh, the heck you doing out here? It's kind of dangerous, right? Anyways, continue on. Only to be overcome by an overwhelming feeling of dread when she noticed their jet black eyes. In other case, a group of friends claimed to have encountered black-eyed children while camping in a remote forest. The encounter left them deeply unsettled and prompted them to abandon their campsite in haste. As with any paranormal phenomenon, explanations and theories abound regarding the true nature of black-eyed children. Skeptics often attribute sightings of black-eyed children to hoaxes, misinterpretations, or psychological factors such as suggestibility or sleep paralysis. Others speculate that black-eyed children may be connected to supernatural or extraterrestrial phenomenon, possibly serving as harbingers of doom or agents of malevolent forces. While no definitive explanation has been reached, the mystery of black-eyed children continues to intrigue and perplex those who seek to unravel its secrets. There you go about black-eyed children. I do have a video play regarding a police officer's encounter with the black-eyed children. It's a bit spooky. Hope you enjoy it and take whatever information you can with it. This is something that leaves a lot more questions than answers, but this is something that has been a phenomenon going on for quite some time. A lot of beliefs that, hey, this is something that's a recent urban legend that's just created something on the internet. However, there's been talks about this phenomenon a lot longer than what's considered urban legend. I think the urban legend about black-eyed children is something new, but regarding beings with black eyes has something going on for centuries. And is it connected? Is it the same? I have no idea. Is it something that we've, as us as a society, manifest that came into reality? How fear kind of just then we manifest it in a way. That's just how things get played. I have no idea. But I will play you this video and then I'll share my story again regarding my experience. Well, someone else's experience regarding what happened to this house a few years back that's kind of similar to this black-eyed children situation. So let me get that prompted up. This video on YouTube is called A Cop's Terrifying Black-Eyed Encounter. It's about 4 minutes and 35 seconds. let's play it and enjoy.
Oh, that's. So you want me to just tell you what happened?
Yes,
Sure. I did that already.
we need it for the record.
Um, so I saw this girl standing by the side of the road, and I pulled over because I thought I could help her. And she was just standing there, and I thought that was very professional about this.
It's okay.
Sorry. So I thought it was weird that a kid would be standing by the side of the road that time of night. So I pulled over to see if I could help. And first thing I did is I called it in. And when I looked up, she had moved around and she was in front of the car, standing in the headlights, looking at me. And she didn't seem afraid or worried, and I thought that was weird. So I told dispatch, and I went to get out of the car. And just as I was starting to, I saw her eyes, and then I didn't want to get out of the car. Then I didn't know what it was, but there was, and then I realized it was her eyes. They're black. I mean, completely black. And he must have seen that I realized that, because she started to approach the car, and it was everything I could do not to drive away at that point. I mean, I'm an officer of the law, it's my job, but it was this visceral thing that just took over. I can't describe it, but all of my training was gone. Everything in me just wanted to get the hell away from that girl. But I stayed. And I rolled down the window as she approached me and asked her where she lived. And she mumbled something, and I asked her again. And I leaned forward, and she attacked me. I mean, she attacked me. And there was this ungodly voice coming out of her. I had no idea how a human could make that voice, but I was trying to push her off of me, but she was trying to pull me out of the car. She was trying to pull me out of the car. And I was screaming at her to get off me, get off me. And then she said something. And I can't get those words out of my mind. Why she would say that to me.
Can you repeat what she said?
No.
We need a record of what she said.
And then I broke her neck. I knew I did because I turned her head and I heard a crack. Her whole body shook. I could feel it through her chest. And then she went limp and she fell out of the car. Those words. Can't get those words out of my mind.
So you got
She just stood up. She just stood up like nothing happened, and she ran away. And she turned to smile at me before she left. That was not human. Whatever that was, it was not human. There was not human out there. And they
Okay, a bit dramatic, right? Real video or not, who knows? But regardless of how real that video is, or hey, if it's fake or not, those encounters regarding that cop story are one of many that have came across regarding these children, these beings. So I told you I would share a story, right? Like I said, I shared this before on a few other in past podcasts. but thought I'd share it again because this sounds kind of potentially connected with this whole black-eyed children thing. Again, not sure how connected it is, but just regarding the certain attributes that happen when these beings approach your home or your car. So basically, these black-eyed kids or these BEKs don't know what they are. We're not sure if they're alien, not sure if they're demons or not, but usually they end up in a pair or one between the ages of 6 to 12. And they knock on the door asking for help. So going with my story, about 3, 4 years ago, my spouse at the time, it was a night with my brother-in-law, my spouse, and me. Him and I went to bed a bit early. She's more of a night owl. And this is around after 2 o'clock in the morning. And she told me this the next day. So she was around 2 o'clock in the morning and she's watching a show on TV and she started hearing a knock at the door. Pretty loud knock, but I heard a faint voice from a girl saying, "Hello, can you let me in?" The knock continued. "Hello, can you help me? Can you let me in?" The knock continued. "I need help. Hello, can you let me in?" The knock continued. She never let her in. She never even got up from the couch. She was too scared and freaked out what was going on. She just sat in the couch, just pretty much paralyzed by the fear. She didn't know what to expect. The voice was very unconcerning and monotoned, asking for help. Was that a black-eyed kid? I have no idea. Could that have been a Wendigo or a skinwalker in the native areas? I have no idea. But pretty spooky, right? So, anyways, that is what description of the black-eyed kids are. A lot more questions again than answers, but quite interesting regarding what their intentions are and what their encounters bring to is it nefarious? Is it malevolent? Is it something positive? Right now, I don't see anything positive about it. A lot of people have some, when we talk about fear and dread. So I guess it's not good, right? But anywho, to wrap up this episode, to wrap up this short episode, probably my shorter ones, going back to the Vatican. Do you believe the Vatican Church come out with this announcement regarding the new supernatural spiritual rules with the phenomenon? Do you think they're trying to get ahead of something regarding what's going on in the world with UAPs, UFOs? Do you think they're trying to help agenda with soft disclosure with governments around the world regarding these beings, either extraterrestrial, interdimensional, demonic? I have no idea. And with black-eyed kids, what do you think about that? Kind of out there, right? I know this is one of the most other out there ones. Again, short video. What's your thoughts on that? Love to hear your stories. Maybe you have something similar. Maybe it's something regarding similar to what I just shared. Maybe you're out there saying, I saw something like that and never shared that before, but now, hey, I have seen something like that and I would love to share that. I just never put two together. I love to hear those thoughts. I'd love to hear your comments and stories about that. Again, little short episode, little sort of fun episode. Again, if you would like to share that information with me and your thoughts, boundtotruth34@gmail.com. You can also reach me again to the Facebook, Bound to Truth. We're also on X, Bound to Truth, YouTube, Bound to Truth, and now on Apple Podcasts, Bound to Truth. Subscribe to both Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Again, the more people subscribe, the more the platform is bigger for everybody to speak their minds, to share their stories, their experiences, and feel they're not alone. So before I go, I'll be having some updated interviews with Randy, the gentleman from Minnesota, Bigfoot, and then John, who I had an interview not too long ago. We're gonna have Randy and John on with me hopefully this Friday, and I'll get that episode during the weekend. And then another special treat is my dad will be coming up from California. And we'll be doing an interview podcast himself, talk about a bit about him and his experience with the military and UFOs. I think you'll find that quite interesting. And he's kind of a quirky guy himself. more quirky than me, but he's a lot of fun. He's a great guy, a great heart. But anyways, everybody have a great Sunday. Thank you for listening. Thank you for subscribing, and just God bless. Have a great day. Talk to you later.